The jungle swallowed 100 cities whole, and the people who built them vanished without a fight. No army broke their gates, no plague we can find. They simply walked away forever. 5 clues, buried in stone and cave, tell the real story. The 5th cracked open last year. At its height, the Maya civilization stretched across the jungles of Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. They built towering stone pyramids, mapped the stars, and invented one of history's first written languages. For 6 centuries, their cities glittered with kings, markets, ball games, and armies of loyal farmers. Then, around the year 900, the greatest southern cities went quiet, one after another. To find out why, we follow 5 clues, and the deeper we dig, the stranger it gets. Clue 1. The cities themselves. Picture Tikal, a stone metropolis rising straight out of the rainforest. At its peak, Tikal may have held 60,000 people, packed around plazas and temples. Across the whole lowlands, the total Maya population may have climbed past 10 million people. That is a crowd the size of a modern nation, living without metal tools or draft animals. Every temple, every road, every carved monument was built by human hands and human backs. To feed these cities, farmers cleared the forest and planted maize across every workable hillside. The kings promised something in return: rain, harvests, and the favor of the gods above. Carvings show the rulers dressed as gods, bleeding themselves to keep the sacred cycle turning. For centuries, it worked. The rains came, the maize grew, and the population kept rising. But a city is a promise. It only holds together while that promise is kept. And a growing city needs more food, more wood, and more water every single year. The Maya were not primitive. They were brilliant engineers pushing their land to its absolute limit. Remember that limit. It comes back in every clue that follows, quietly tightening like a noose. Because when that promise finally broke, it did not break in only one single place.
Clue 2. War.
For a very long time, we imagined the Maya as gentle, peaceful stargazers. Then we learned to read their writing, and the carved stones told a bloodier story. The Maya world was never one empire. It was dozens of rival city-states all competing. 2 superpowers towered above the rest: Tikal in the south, and its great rival, Calakmul. For generations, these 2 giants fought a cold war, pulling smaller cities into their alliances. In the year 562, Calakmul and its allies crushed the mighty city of Tikal. Tikal fell silent for over a century, its monuments broken, its kings erased from stone. Then Tikal rose again, struck back, and captured the rival king in a stunning reversal. But victory in this world was never final. Every war simply seeded the next one. As centuries passed, the fighting grew more frequent, more brutal, and closer to the cities themselves. Defensive walls went up around once open cities, a sign that danger now lived next door. War is expensive. It burns crops, kills farmers, and pulls workers away from the fields. Each battle made the cities hungrier, and hungry cities push even harder on the land. So war alone did not end the Maya, but it lit a very dangerous fuse. To see what that fuse reached, we have to look up at the vanishing forest. Clue 3. The forest. The Maya did not just live in the jungle, they consumed it. Every great building needed lime plaster, the smooth white coating on their temples and palaces. To make that plaster, they burned limestone, and burning limestone demands enormous amounts of firewood. One study suggests 20 trees were felled to plaster a single square meter of floor. Now multiply that by every plaza, every temple, and every rebuilding in a growing empire. The farmers needed cleared land too, so they burned the forest back, season after season. Slowly, the green canopy that once cooled the whole region shrank into open, sun-baked fields. Here is the trap. Forests do not just hold shade, they help make the rain. Trees pull water from the soil and breathe it back into the sky as clouds. Strip the trees, and you strip the land of its own ability to summon storms. Computer models suggest Maya deforestation may have cut local rainfall by as much as 15%. Without the shade, temperatures rose, and the exposed soil baked harder under a brighter sun. The Maya were, without ever knowing it, quietly changing the very climate above their heads. A drier sky was bad enough, but the very ground below them was in trouble too. Which brings us to clue 4, buried right beneath the farmer's own tired, cracking feet. Clue 4, the soil. Rainforest earth is surprisingly thin and it loses its richness fast. As long as trees stood, fallen leaves fed the soil and roots held it in place. Strip the hillsides bare, and the next hard rain simply washes that thin soil away. Archaeologists find thick layers of washed-down soil choking the very valleys the Maya once farmed. Each year, the same fields gave a little less, while the hungry cities demanded far more. To survive, the Maya became astonishing engineers, terracing hillsides and draining swamps into raised gardens. They carved reservoirs to hoard the rain, some holding millions of liters of precious water. For a while, this brilliance bought them time, squeezing more food from an exhausted land. But every clever fix depended on one thing they could not build or command: rain. Their reservoirs, their terraces, their whole civilization assumed the wet season would always return on schedule. The population had grown too large to feed if even a few harvests were to fail. It was a magnificent machine, balanced entirely on a single, fragile assumption about the weather. Overcrowded, deforested, at war, and farming dying soil, the Maya had almost no margin left. Every clue so far had tightened that same slow noose, notch by patient, invisible notch. All it needed now was one final pull, and the sky was about to deliver it. Clue 5, the drought. This is the clue that science cracked open only last year. Deep in a Mexican cave, a stalagmite had been growing, drip by drip, for centuries. Each layer locked in a chemical fingerprint of exactly how much rain fell that year. Reading those layers is like reading tree rings, but for the rainfall of an entire region. In 2025, scientists finally published what those layers revealed, and the numbers were truly brutal. Between roughly 871 and 1021, the whole region was hammered by repeated, savage droughts. One single drought, the cave record shows, lasted an unbroken 13 years with almost no relief. 13 straight years. Imagine the reservoirs draining, the maize withering, and every prayer going unanswered. For a king whose entire power rested on bringing rain, this was a total catastrophe. When the gods went silent, so did faith in the god-kings who had promised the rain. People did not all die. Many simply stopped believing, gathered their families, and walked away. They drifted north and to the coast, leaving the great southern cities to the jungle. So the answer is not one clue. It is all 5 pulling together at once. Overpopulation, war, deforestation, and dying soil built a trap. The great drought finally sprang it. The Maya did not vanish like magic. Their descendants still live across Mexico and Central America. Millions still speak Maya languages today, farming quietly beside the ruins their ancestors once ruled. What collapsed was not a people, but a system that pushed its world too far. A brilliant civilization, warned by drought and dead soil, that could not change course in time. If that ending unsettles you, subscribe, and we will keep digging up the truth together.